Farouk, every one of you currently trooping in. Remember, after reading the caption of the broadcast, read the description as well. Okay. Then like the broadcast, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell all of them to join us. Like, Maiyegun is live. It's quite a moment, you know that. So thank you. So tonight, we are going to delve into the new trending face-off between Dangote and the oil and gas sector saboteurs in Nigeria. As, of course, for every, I've seen you there too, sir. Just reason. Thank you for joining us. Okay. I think I should begin to kind of like say hello to you with your names appearing on the screen, like talk to others. You know what I mean? So that you can always know that I always recognize your presence, every one of you. But you are just too numerous to be mentioned every now and then. But yeah, I'll be mentioning you once in a while now. Okay. So yeah, early this year, Dangote and the Dangote refinery, right? They went into this face-off with the supposed regulatory body, the petroleum. In fact, they actually have a name. Give me a sec. So they are called the NMDPRA. There are just so many of them, okay? So NMDPRA simply means Nigerian Mainstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, led by one Malam Farouk Ahmed, who last year was also in a face-off with the same Dangote when he said his own agency, they have checked this Dangote refinery, and their findings show that it is just about 50% completed, like 50% completion, and therefore cannot, be relied upon when it comes to fuel supply in Nigeria. And also the quality of his product is not that standard. If you can remember, that Dangote had to go and bring the product from his refinery and presented it to the media and said, look at this. This is from Nigeria, imported fuel. This is mine. And you know, Nigeria and Nigerians for a very long time have been made to believe that it was the corrupt people in government and their friends, the oil marketers, that they are those who killed the refineries in Nigeria so that their importation business, as well as a subsidy they were collecting, could be very much like remain the same. So Nigerians believe that, like, without the cooperation of the people in government, Nigerian refineries would not just die. So when Dangote refinery was coming up, there were people who ordinarily believed that indeed it was going to face serious kind of like a backlashes or pushback or sabotage from the people who have been the regular players in the industry. So with all these speculations and every other thing, right, a lot then happened. Indeed, the oil marketers are saying Dangote is a known crony capitalist, somebody who doesn't really play by the rules, but he's so influential that it could change. I mean, government changes their policies to suit what works for Dangote. He's been accused of that privilege. So we call him quota system billionaire. Okay, I call him quota system billionaire. But there's so much story behind that. However, on the global stage, Dangote and Dangote Group, Dangote Refinery is considered as a great kind of like achievement for Nigeria, that if it could get the government protection, right, it is something that could save Nigeria economy because of how much Nigeria kind of expended on subsidy. All these good projections and all that. But behind the scene, between 2023 and 2024, no, let's roll it back a bit. Between 2015 and 2023, Nigeria imported a total of 10 or so million liters of petrol from Malta. But between 2023 and 2024 alone, Nigeria's imports, Nigerians' importation of a fuel, right, petrol product from Malta jumped from 10 million in 8 years, $10 million in 8 years to over $1.2 billion. Something that eventually the backstory was that, the Tifnumbu's alleged nephew, Deji Tinumbu, and his group, they have successfully bought a new kind of like refinery to blend. They call it for blending. So they blend all these chemicals together or whatever, right? To send their product to Nigeria, blending. So therefore, they have recently purchased that after Tifnumbu became your president, okay? So, and their biggest partner, their biggest trade partner is NNPC. And NNPC is the one that has the singular kind of like a license to import fuel into Nigeria. So this license is what they now give to their preferred, and then the whole deal around subsidy and the whole story of corruption around it. So you get government involvement. So now that you have your own refinery, as some will believe, will say, okay, now that you have your own refinery, Dangote no longer have access to Nigerian crude oil. That it was that bad that is importing its crude oil from Texas in the US, right? These are also like the background, problems, right? But to him, is able and is capable, his refinery is capable to supply the entire market in Nigeria. So he went on to go and convince Tifnumbu. Convincing Tifnumbu that, listen, if these people have so much money to invest in refineries outside Nigeria, why can't they bring the money back and like invest it in Nigeria? 47 licenses were issued. Out of the 47, only 2 or 3 of them are currently, only him has managed to build one. Another person is the Bua guy, right? He's building one as well, I think in Akwa Ibom or somewhere, right? So he's not completed this, all because of this bureaucracy and all of that behind the scene, which Dangote is telling us about. So he convinced Tifnumbu that they should put or place 15% tax on every imported liter of petroleum into Nigeria from January. So don't think it's only just this new tax law that some of you are debating right now, right? There are so many complexities, there are so many branches to it, okay? But I won't confuse you talking about this oil and gas. So Dangote and his group managed to convince Kolu, and before you know it, Kolu's regime announced that from January, they were going to place 15% on every liter of petroleum imported into Nigeria. Well, to protect Dangote. And that sounded like, okay, that's a done deal. So Dangote went into town, reduced his price by a tiny bit, and and that is something that other private, oil marketers, is that what they call them, right? Something like that. So private oil marketers who usually controls these prices, and the only people that manages to quench their thirst, their greed, is their other greedy friends in government that will pay them subsidy. And I'm still telling you this up to this moment. Tifnumbu lied to you that he's not paying subsidy on imported fuel to Nigeria. And I told you that they still pay it up to tomorrow. But they just don't call it oil subsidy, fuel subsidy anymore. They call it a dollar subsidy, which is secretly being paid to the same NMPC partners bringing fuel into Nigeria. Between October and November 2025, NMPC and their partners, they imported 1.1 billion liters of petroleum into Nigeria. This was supposed to be the NMPC who were supposed to have a working refinery. Remember the completed refinery, but completely dead now, right? So they are now saying, if Dangote's wish is granted, as it is granted, it's been granted already, but it is not yet January. If that should sail through, Dangote would have won by cutting them off the business. Because who is going to buy a petroleum that is probably like over 1,000 naira per liter, when Dangote believes that, it could sell it to you for 750 naira per liter. So somehow, they managed to reconvince Tinubu. And how did they do that? Farouk Ahmed, the supposed what is their name again? Yeah, NMDPRA, Malam Farouk Ahmed, this guy, now wrote to Tinubu to give, because that is his own job, okay, to access, what do you call it? To access if it is ideal to depend on Dangote and begin to reduce the importation of fuel, which is where they are making the secret money that they are hiding from you. All of this will come to light later, don't worry. So if the 15% is placed on that, that would be tragedy. And Dangote, who is sure of being able to produce 1.5 billion liters, 2 billion liters monthly, right, would then dominate the entire country. So this guy wrote to Tinubu. I think it's actually part of, what do you call it? The part of the media output that Dangote said, this is the handiwork of the saboteurs within. And that's why he went straight for this guy. So they put out this press statement. Say, NMDPRA wishes to assure the general public that there is adequate supply of petroleum products in the country within the acceptable national sufficiency threshold during this peak demand period. There is robust domestic supply of petroleum products, AGO, PMS, LPG, etc., sourced from both local refineries and importation to ensure timely replenishment of stocks at storage, depot, and retail stations during this period. The authority wishes to use this opportunity to advise against any hoarding, panic buying, or non-market blah, 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 blah. So this is for public. But the one for our call that triggered Dangote's new meltdown, sort of, is that they now gave what they called numerical evidence of what Dangote is actually capable of, which Dangote said they were all lies, they're all bullshit put together. Because the 15% they placed on importation of or an imported fuel from January has been suspended. Here you get, they've suspended it now. Like, no, that means they should bring more fuel. How did they arrive at that? This guy and his own agency convinced Tinubu that it's not ideal to do that. Dangote can't supply enough fuel. Not this period, not in the future right now. Do you get what I mean, right? So because of that, that policy, announced policy, got suspended. I mean, they didn't change it, got suspended. That is the influence of Dangote. How then did they manage to now withdraw that? Dangote had to call the media where the entire meltdown comes in. So Dangote said, the mafia in their oil sector, they are kind of like deadlier than the drug mafias. That's how he put it. Then he went straight for this guy. He said, look at him, a corrupt officer, who sent his children to Switzerland, Abinkan, right? And he spent $6 million for 6 years for 4 of his children who schooled in. So where did he get that money? On what salary? Alaji want to fight in here. But before that, immediately Dangote got the wind of that. Okay, they've cancelled that 15% sort of like a tax. That means they've come for him. So what did he do? First, Dangote announced a 100 billion naira education fund. I am actually going to break that down for you at some point, okay? He announced 100 billion naira education support fund for students in Nigeria. Then he also announced the reduction in the, in his own gantry price, which will also lead to reduction at the pump price. You know what I mean? Like before you go to the filling station. So from 800 and something, down to 740 naira. And it's going to kick that off by Tuesday. So by so doing, Nigerians were like, yeah, why are people always want to destroy this man's business and all of that? But here is his own first why. Have you shared this broadcast? Just a reminder. Have you? Thank you. Now here, Alhaji said first Sabo, the mafia in oil industry, like they are deadlier than the drug cartels. The oil cartels are deadlier than the drug cartel. Like which cartel is bigger than Dangote in Nigeria? Let's be honest. Anyway, let's start with this.
No, it's okay. No, don't worry. Let me answer him. Yes. Well, you are talking about sabotage, and I'm happy that you are also here in Nigeria. I don't know whether Mele Kyari is still in town, but I think you should go to his house in Maitama and ask him how many sabotages the Port Harcourt refinery repairs went through. I think he'll be able to tell you. But I'm telling you, he told me many times they have had more than 100 sabotages at the refinery. You can ask him, he will tell you. So, our own, yes, when they even sabotage you, they go and remove. We have a boiler, boiler? 400 tons is the largest boiler ever built in the world. It was under operation. Somebody went there and removed a spare parts out of it. If I tell you the sabotages that we went through, including some of the machine manufacturers who are in verge of going to court, so I cannot tell you what. But if I now go and tell you, you will now know what I'm saying. And that's why I told you that drugs mafia, they are actually smaller than the people who are in oil and gas. Because in the drug, most of people who are in the drugs, you know yourselves. But in the oil sector, they have robbed so many people in. So about whether somebody will, I mean, you should ask now, how come now, for example, all the pipelines that we built, right from the military days to date, none of them. The one that we have, which is from where I am from, Kano, that depot, we are not using trucks. The depots were only going to the trucks to load. Everything was piped up to there. 22 depots were built. They are all piped. All the 22 depots, actually even the sediments, they don't have it anymore. They have destroyed the pipes, all of them. So if it's not sabotage, is that earthquake? It's not earthquake now, because it's sabotage. Sabotage is sabotage. So that is what it is. I mean, we knew. I mean, in this refinery, we have lost maybe 82 million, right, dollars of stolen items. Yes, $82 million of stolen items. And what they were actually trying to do is to make sure that we go and put massive claim on insurance. So when we put massive claim on insurance, there's no free lunch. So continuously our insurance premium will just keep going up. So I mean, yes, there is sabotage, there is. And I'm sure you should go and ask all the people who have even built the modular refineries, and I challenge any one of them to say that nothing was stolen. And people will come here with long distance, they will cut cables and put it, rope it on their body to try and see how they can take it out. And when you ask them, okay, fine, what are you doing with it? It's just sabotage. That's why we have more security people in this refinery than actual workers of the refinery.
So talking about sabotage and saboteurs, people who have always attempted to tamper with his equipment, the blah, and all of that stuff. Then those in government who are also using bureaucracy to sabotage in Dangote. I think he's kind of like managed to learn the art of using the media to whip sentiment, empathy, and the rest of that. When the crisis, it wasn't meant to be a crisis anyway. The face-off